At the entrance, when you come in to the crypt, you go down staircases, so you feel that you're going a little bit underground. So, and then we faced a chair, a reading chair with two crutches, and for me it was very important to have those elements at the entrance as something of an element of something wrong already at the beginning, and those elements are shooting at us. And then we walk a little bit more, and we have a long corridor where we have two strange fruits with these sneakers who are just all assembled all together, who I call them strange fruits. And we have this idea of a long corridor, and the work is functioning with the perspective of the space, because we have this long view of this long corridor, and we have the strange fruits who are detached one from the other, so we have this kind of thinning up kind of sense. And then when we move on, we get the sound that comes out, the Peter Sellers, She Loves You from the Beatles, but the Nazi version. So he creates an echo in that space there. And then there's the choice a little bit of where you want to go, and it depends where you are a little bit in the space, but the drawings are there to kind of help you out, to know where is the bit of entrances for other works. So the drawings became like signals of giving you the route of where you got to go. So for example, there's a first drawing at the first corridor on the left, and then just there you have this piece that I call Baby Soldier, that you have this door, and by curiosity there was a door missing in that room, and I had a piece of work that actually was about a door that was being pushed down, so there was this kind of strength that it could relate to the space, and I thought that was kind of, as a game, we all thought that pretty interesting. And when you get out of that room, you got another little corridor, and then pop, you get into to this other room where there's this piece called Rubber Soul, where you got these rubber boots on the ground. And then when you go into that space, it's very dark, so it's more the idea that you have to peep in. So there it's more like you have to be curious, because it's a tiny room, so it's the idea of probably more entering a cell, because that's the piece kind of related to the history of slavery on that issue. So for me it was very important that people kind of enter this little dark room where everything's pretty dark. So when you've come out of there, we have this other corridor where you have all these stones who are aligned on the sides of the walls on the right and on the left, and they all got signs of people who are buried here, I guess. And there was the interesting side that we filled up that corridor with these tubes who dance and create a kind of dance, a kind of in between this kind of sarcastic and happiness and darkness about that space and in that long room. So for me, it makes a connection, it relates it, that you can have a story coming out. And then when you go to this angle, when you come out, let's say, of the tube and you go to the left, then you've got this kind of, how would I say, this kind of shared space, a bit like a big probably an oven to cook bread or something like that. And there it's been transformed by this piece who's working a lot with the shadows, because of course in all the pieces the shadows have a lot of importance of working inside the space. They create this kind of little cinema that you can find on all the walls. It creates another dimension for me of the work, because you got the visual of what you can see, and you got after these other dimensions with the shades, and of course I force it with the sounds and the lights and the kind of effects that things can happen. So, and the idea is that when you come out of those corridors, there's the same kind of room that when you came in, where there was the chairs, but on the opposite side as a kind of mirror effect. And there you got this little house who has shoes, and they explode, and you got these bullets who come down, and there's all these stones from the crypt that have been put on the ground of it, and it creates a relation towards what happened in the crypt, towards the past and the future. So it makes a bridge in between time in the space, and of course again the shadows and elements like that appear all the time in all the works in general. And the last piece that I should talk about quickly is it didn't have to be that way. That's this tiny little house that you have these little branches moving, that it's Jaws who starts to make the sound, and little by little you got this kind of suspense that arrives, and suddenly it opens, and you got all these circular saw blades who come out, and that question is more of an environmental issue, but it's about fear too. So for me it was I think all those issues and those matters are all interesting, and they're all part of the culture of fear, if I would say.